I pleaded guilty to the crimes that I committed of robbery and unlawful wounding, and originally my sentencing guidelines were from 8 to 13 years. Then the day of sentencing, they were changed to 10 to 16 years, and the judge sentenced me to 32 years in prison. But because sentencing guidelines in Virginia are discretionary, it doesn't matter that he sentenced me to twice the high point of the guidelines. So when I appealed, it was kicked back because by pleading guilty, I basically lost all my rights of appeal. I filed a habeas and the same thing. Fundamentally, none of my constitutional rights were violated by being sentenced to twice the high point of the guidelines. So at that point, I was in prison and I was just riding it out. And guys were putting in petitions for clemency and pardon all the time, but I was like, all right, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this right. So I wanted to make sure I had done the max. I wanted to do the high point of the guidelines before I even thought about putting it in, and I waited a little bit longer until I'd done about 17 years. In 17 years, I said, all right, I'm going to put this in. I'm going to lay out my argument. I'm going to put in every reason I think I should have a second chance. And I don't think it's going to work, but at least now I know I've waited. I didn't just waste everybody's time by putting in a bunch of useless paperwork. And 2 years later, after about 19 years, the governor granted me a conditional pardon, and I walked out of prison with an hour and a half's notice.